The national briefing back on the air, and if we were living in normal times right about now, we'd be talking about the government shutdown, but we don't live in normal times. We don't live in a regular news cycle right now. These are insane times. I'm going to lay it out. I believe this is it sounds like a massive conspiracy theory. The Democrats are now looking for blood. And you might think when I say that they're looking for conservatives' blood, but I don't believe that's what they're looking for just yet. They'd like to start with killing some of their own. And what do I mean by that? The Democrats are looking for martyrs right now, people to be killed by ICE. It is no different than what Hamas used to do, or still does, I guess, over in Palestine when they drag out dead bodies, particularly children, and say, look what Israel has done to our babies. It plays on people's emotions. You know, you look at just look at the comments of Marco Rubio over the weekend. He was talking about how Hamas has won the PR war, basically. Even though Israel has the absolute positive moral high ground in this argument, they lost the PR battle. And we see here in the United States millions and millions and millions of Americans who believe Israel's gone too far in defending itself. And that's all the PR battle. And because they've lost the PR battle, Israel's going to have to settle this war and get what they get. They're not going to get what they want. They're going to have to get what they get. In America, we're seeing very similar tactics being used by the left. Now, we'll start with Mayor Johnson. Yesterday, Chicago makes one of the most unconstitutional announcements, I believe, that's ever been uttered into a microphone.
We need ICE out of our city. They told us that this was about the worst of the worst. In reality, they are going after anyone who objects to families being ripped apart and community members being disappeared. ICE lies and people die. We cannot allow this to continue. We must take action more drastic than what we have taken before, because what we are seeing is a more radical attempt to undermine our democracy. And today we are signing an executive order aimed at reining in this out-of-control administration. The order establishes ICE-free zones. That means that city property and unwilling private businesses will no longer serve as staging grounds for these raids.
Okay, that's so filled with lies. First off, when you say ICE lies and people die, who's died? Mayor Johnson, please provide some sort of proof on that. When you talk about this is the targeting of black and brown people, can you name an American citizen that's no longer here? Are there any black families that are missing members of their families right now? No? Because I know that if that actually happened, that would be the headline news just running in a continuous news cycle on the Democrat propaganda machine. But we don't have that. Because, again, if we had it, you'd be running with it. So you just made up two fake facts right there. And I'll point out that your ICE-free zones are a violation of the Supremacy Clause. And look, I'm not a legal, expert, but I do got ChatGPT, and I got the Grok, and I got the Google. And what do they say? Just ask the question, does the Constitution give the federal government the authority to enforce laws in states or cities? The answer always comes back, yes. The Constitution gives the federal government authority to enforce their federal laws within states and cities, even if the local authorities choose not to. So you don't have to participate in this. We wish you would. We wish you would help make your cities safe. We wish you would help make America safe, but you have chose not to. That's your choice. I don't understand why the voters in these areas do not vote you out and vote these types of policies out. Crime is a choice that you make at the ballot box. If you choose these types of politicians, you get crime, you get raising and unemployment, you get just a horrible lifestyle. But that's look, I don't live in Chicago. I don't live in Illinois. I don't live in Portland, Oregon. I used to live in New York City. I opted to get out of New York City because I didn't like the rising crime rates. I didn't like the rising taxes. These are choices that people make. So if you vote for these types of politicians, you get what you get. But when it comes to the Supremacy Clause of the United States Constitution, which has been upheld multiple times. It says that the federal government can enforce their federal laws in all over, in private residences, in private businesses. If they find an illegal alien anywhere in the U.S. hiding in Mayor Johnson's bedroom, they have the right to kick that door down, come in and grab that illegal and drag them out. That is the right of the federal government. So you setting up your ICE-free zones, I hate to say this, my man, but I believe you are now in violation of the 14th Amendment, Section 3 specifically, which prohibits any individual who's taken an oath to the U.S. Constitution and then is involved in any act of rebellion against the Constitution from holding federal or state office. I believe that had we done our job years ago, we had cities like Albuquerque, New Mexico, obviously Chicago, Boston, Denver, Hoboken, Jersey City, LA, New Orleans, New York City, Newark, Patterson, Philadelphia, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, San Francisco. These cities all declared themselves sanctuary cities, that if you're an illegal, you can come here. We should have applied the 14th Amendment to those leaders back then. Squash that crap quick, but we didn't squash it quick. So now we've let it fester. We've let the American public believe that, it is an option. That if you have a brave, strong leader, the brave, strong leader can stand up to federal law. That's not how it's supposed to work. And now we got to do the extra hard work of now cleaning out all the illegals that are here. And by the way, if in any of these cities, if they would just turn over the worst of the worst. Mayor Johnson says it's not about the worst. It is about the worst of the worst. Right now, we can't deport all 20 million illegals at once, so they're trying to get the worst of the worst right now. When you arrest somebody on a criminal charge and you process them into your holding facility, you already know if they're illegal or illegal. At that point, if you just contacted ICE, they would come and take them from you. No fuss, no muss, nobody gets hurt. But you choose to not only not contact ICE while they're in your holding facilities, you release them out before ICE can find out that that's an illegal. Then they got to go hunt them down on the streets. And that's when U.S. citizens, unfortunately, get detained. Because once you're in an area where we're making an arrest, why is this person here? We got to hold everybody. They're not being arrested, they're being held. And when they're being held for questioning, because why are you here? None of this has to happen. You are the one that's trying to make this a problem. Now, the Chicago police superintendent is a guy named Larry Snelling. He has a warning for all these liberal protesters. And I think we need to save this recording of the Chicago police superintendent.
If you box them in, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed. And it's reasonable for them to use force based on those conditions, following law enforcement agents around. The question is why? What do you plan on doing? It's also reasonable for them to believe that you're eventually going to do harm to them.
So if you're just following the ICE vehicles, and we've seen dozens of videos of parades of liberals following these people, it is reasonable, according to him, to believe that you're trying to do harm to us. That puts them at an elevated response level. They see a sudden move, a twitch. It looks like you're going to ram the vehicle. It is reasonable for them to now open fire. They have been showing amazing restraint. The ICE officers have been incredible in the face of people spitting at them, throwing things at them, following them everywhere, doxing them. Yesterday, we found out about a cartel member. Was it a gang member? It was a gang member in Chicago, had a chat message out there, $2,000 for info on a certain ICE official, $10,000 if he's dead. $2,000 for the info, another $10 if you kill him. This is craziness, what we have going on. And the fact that the Democrats are lining up with the cartel and lining up with gang members against their own citizens, it's clear to me that they want a revolution. They want a civil war. That's what they're looking for. And they just need a couple of martyrs to get this thing started. Pray to God that the ICE officials continue to show amazing restraint and that no one gets shot. This is incredibly dangerous times that we're living in.